Hey everybody, alongside TJ Calkins, Jay Sannon here with ATS. And TJ, it is time for a UFC pay-per-view preview. It is UFC 267, of course, headlined by Teixeira and Blachowicz. Couple title fights on this card, TJ. Before we get to those, though, I know you have a few plays on your mind for this card. We'll start with Amanda Ribas taking on Virna Jandiroba. And Ribas a minus 165 favorite here. Do you think she justifies that and backs it up with a win?
Yeah, I really do. I think this line is actually short for, I think there's too much recency bias from her last fight back in January. We know she had that brutal weight cut. She had to fight Marina Rodriguez, who's next in line for a title shot, by the way, at this point. And she is an absolute elite striker. So it was a terrible fight for Ribas. Everyone's entitled to one. She's not going to have the problem of facing an elite striker in this one. I will say that Jandiroba is a BJJ fighter. We have seen her improve her striking on some level. It's still not high end, and it's still not going to translate against a fighter like Ribas. Ribas is one of two fighters in the division that can match the Jandiroba BJJ game, and the evidence of that is the common opponent, Mackenzie Dern. Ribas had no problem taking her down. She was not afraid. She controlled her. She did well on top, and she beat Dern. Jandiroba cannot say the same thing. So if Ribas wants to take this fight down, I don't think she's going to hesitate. But I don't think she'll need to. She's a better striker. She's going to have more volume. She's going to be more crisp, and I think she's going to have more power. So at the end of the day, I think Ribas gets to dictate where this fight takes place. And I think no matter what she chooses, she has an advantage. She has all bases covered here. I don't see her ever being submitted in the octagon. I don't care who it is. She's already fought Dern, and that's the cream of the crop. Yeah, give me Ribas flatline here.
TJ, next up, let's go to the heavyweight division on the men's side here. Alexander Volkov taking on Marcin Tybura. Volkov, a minus 305 favorite, the Pitbull odds, Mr. 305. Do you think he gets it done here, and how?
Yeah, I really do. We're going to see a knockout here. So Tybura, not too long ago, he lost 4 or 5 fights, and he essentially had his job on the line. But when you lose that many fights, the level of competition goes down, and it stayed down for him. He ended up winning 5 fights in a row, 3 of them against very, very low competition, and then most recently against Greg Hardy and Walt Harris. Well, those guys are powerful strikers. They just don't have the rounded game. So Tybura was able to use his wrestling chops, take him down, and win that way. With Volkov, not so. Now, statistics will tell you that Volkov's takedown defense isn't great. Well, when you're taken down, 16 times by Curtis Blades in one single fight, it's going to skew the overall average. And Volkov, his takedown defense is sound enough. Even if he is taken down, he has the grappling chops to get back to his feet. Tybura is not going to be able to control him. Now on the feet, Tybura is in for a rough one here. The last 3 times he fought strikers with even similar ability to Volkov, he's been knocked. And that was part of that 4-fight losing streak. Or I'm sorry, he lost 4 or 5. The other loss was when he was outstruck by grappler Fabricio Verdum. So let's just say the gap in the striking here is an absolute ocean. Volkov is going to knock Tybura out, and he's going to send him back to fighting the guys that are trying to break into that top 15. Tybura should be a gatekeeper and nothing more.
Next up, TJ, we have another heavy favorite, Albert Duraev, a minus 340 favorite, taking on Roman Kopylov. Do you see a similar result for this heavy favorite, or do you have something else happening?
Well, I see a similar result, not similar method. So you get a debutant at minus 340. Everyone is pretty high on Duraev, and rightfully so. He's completely well-rounded. He's fighting a striker in Kopylov, who I think Duraev's probably the better striker in this fight. I think he's got more power, but I don't think he needs to strike at all. The path of least resistance is certainly in the grappling, and Duraev, he's got the wrestling, he's got the positional control. He's just insanely good at everything. We saw Kopylov get submitted by Baby K in that debut, and let me tell you, there's just a huge step up as far as the grappler goes to Duraev. So I think Duraev gets it done in the first round. In any event, we're going to bet him inside the distance as well.
Apologies in advance for the pronunciations here, but we're going to go to a 205-pound belt here. Gamzatov versus Oleksichuk, TJ. I did my best. Now I
All
want to
right.
know what you think here.
Lord Mihal Oleksichuk. So, Lord Mihal is a boxer, and he's very good at that. He likes to pressure. He likes to just let his hands go. And the issues he's run into in the octagon are in the grappling realm. Now, Gamzatov, he's kind of, I don't want to say passive or inactive, but he just doesn't do a whole lot. He waits for his opponent to come to him, and that's exactly what Mihal wants to do. Now, if the fight is a floor, Gamzatov is going to have an advantage there, and Mihal's going to have to rush back to his feet. But I do think Gamzatov is going to be put on the back foot for the entire fight. I think he's going to be put against the cage on multiple occasions. We really could see one of those stoppages where a fighter just covers up on the cage and the referee's forced to step in. Mihal's going to let his hands go. He's going to rip the body. He's going to rip the head. I think it's going to happen a lot. And we have a super attractive plus 330 ITD line on Lord Mihal. And that is the bet I like here. That is our moonshot for this card.
Now, TJ, let's talk about some fights for some waist jewelry. Let's start off with the bantamweight interim title bout between Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen. Yan, a minus 235 favorite. Who do you think comes away with the interim bantamweight title here?
I'm going with Sandhagen, and I think we get an insanely friendly price on him too, a plus 190. So we know what Yan does. He's a boxer. That is the base of his game. He's very good. He likes to fight inside. He truly likes to let the hands go. Now, Sandhagen's going to have 4 inches of height, 3 inches of reach. He's going to have superior movement. And Sandhagen knows how to stay on the outside, hit his opponent without being in range of being hit. We've seen it a lot of times, and we've seen him throw dynamic strikes, knockouts with a kick, with a knee. So I think Yan is going to have the hardest time striking he has ever had in his career. We will see Yan probably be forced to attempt wrestling, although I don't know if he's going to be able to close the distance and get the fight down the way he wants to. So Yan is a guy that's always going to be looking for knockouts. He's going to want ground and pound. Sandhagen has been finished once in his career. That was from making a grappling mistake against Aljamain Sterling, which anyone does that, they're going to get submitted. So he's never been knocked out, and I don't think this is going to happen now. He's going to be the busier fighter. He's going to land more volume. I think a decision is most likely, but plus 190. I think this should be a pick'em fight, or maybe just a very small favorite for Sandhagen. We're going to take Sandhagen here.
And now, TJ, I know you don't have a play on the main event between Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira, but I did want to get your thoughts there as Blachowicz, a minus 300 favorite, taking on the 42-year-old Teixeira. Where do you think this one ends up?
Man, it would be such a good story if Glover was able to get the strap at 42. I would absolutely love to see it. So Blachowicz should be favored. He's a better striker than Glover, but the legendary Polish power, I mean, it's an absolute joke to me. We're talking about a guy who went from 2014 to 2019 without a single knockout. He needed the non-existent chin of Rock to actually make that happen. And then on Corey Anderson. So a couple of these knockouts in recent times, they're just not impressive to me. That's not to say that Jan is a bad striker. He's a completely well-rounded, fantastic fighter. Obviously, he's the champ. He deserves to be the champ. But I don't think he's going to knock Glover out. Glover's fought way more dangerous strikers. And even if he did get hurt, Glover has this way of going from losing consciousness to waking up and finding a finish in one motion. I mean, we saw it against Maheda. We saw it against Roberson. So it's really going to be a fun fight, especially if we see some grappling. I think it gets evened out a lot if Glover is able to get the fight down. I think the most likely outcome, though, is Jan is just the better striker. Doesn't really hurt Glover, but outpoints him, wins rounds that way, and probably see a Jan decision win. But if you feel a need that you absolutely have to bet this fight, I think the value's in the underdog, and it would have to be inside the distance.
TJ has been, by the way, spot on with the analysis as of late. So you're going to want to go to whatever sports book it is you're using, and you're going to want to take his advice on a lot of these fights. TJ, thank you as always for your expertise on this card. Of course, for more from TJ on these fights, written previews of every fight we just talked about, ATS.io. While you're there, you can also find out how to bet $5, win a couple hundred on the main event at ATS.io. Until next time, Jason and TJ Calkins saying see you later. Good luck on your UFC 267. Easy for me to say. Action.